Ahead of our game against St Mirren last night, I don't think anybody would have predicted the outcome of the game at Pittodrie. It was an absolutely gut-wrenching 3-3 draw, but many positives to take from the game, and it means this in terms of the league table. So Aberdeen remain in 7th place. Considering that results actually went our way last night, you could argue it was a missed opportunity. So come the weekend, Falkirk, who are just above us, they travel to Hibs, who are also just above us. Motherwell take on Livingston. St Mirren take on Dundee United, who remain just behind us. Kilmarnock take on Rangers, and it's the big one on Sunday. It's the top two. It's Celtic against Hearts. So, still in touching distance of getting into the top half. How are we doing? A very warm welcome. Thank you for joining us here on Ali Beg AB TV this Thursday night. First and foremost, I'd like to begin the show with an apology. I'm really sorry about what happened last night with the watch along show. Was here in the studio, got us all set up, pressed stream, and nothing happened. So I have no idea what went on. I think for some reason last night, the internet in this area, the signal was really, really bad, and I just, despite my best efforts, I couldn't get us to stream live. So I'm really, really sorry, because I know that there were many of you already waiting to join the show last night. But we'll try our best. I'm still going to try and do more watch-along shows, so I do apologise about that. Oh, man. What about last night, eh? Honestly. Andrew Budge and I discussed the game a little bit later. We haven't got any graphics or anything like that to show you. We just wanted to have a straightforward chat about it all. Hugely disappointing, really, when we got ourselves into a winning position. What did you... do you know, I've got a question for you. And this is not me playing skullduggery. I'm just intrigued to know what you think. On 89 minutes, he made a double substitution, Jimmy. He brought on Gavin Malloy, who obviously had to go off injured not long after, which then put us down to 10 men. And then Sivert Hilton-Nielsen came on with him. I wondered at the time if that was the right thing to do. Because I get it, because he was just wanting us to have more, to be more solid at the back. So I get it. I understand why he did it. But I must admit, there was a track of thought that I wondered, well, I don't think we need to do it, really, because I felt that we were actually in control of the game at that point. And despite us giving away some bloody awful goals, I just felt we were okay. And I'm just wondering if it changed the dynamic of us slightly from putting us on the front foot to put us on the back foot. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. You know, as I said, it's not skullduggery, it's just a thought. And I'd be interested to know what you guys think about it. So as I said, I'll get Andrew Budge on very shortly. So the team last night, let's have a wee look, see what he did. So as we know, he made 4 changes to the side from the game against from the game against Livingston at the weekend. So in came Alexander Jensen, in came Dante Polvara, in came Topi Keskinen, and in came Kevin Nisbet. Marko Lasetic, Jesper Karlsson, Sivert Hilton-Nielsen, and the skipper all dropped down to the bench. So it was 4 changes in total. So there are your match stats. So over the piece, we dominated possession. It's there for everybody to see. 66.7%. 18 shots to their 15, of which 8 were on target. Touches inside the box, 28 for us, 23 for St Mirren. And pass accuracy was actually good last night, 83.3%, which is way up on what it actually was against Livingston. So those were the match stats. This is what the manager had to say after the game.
Of course, the emotions catch you straight after a game. Some frustration and disappointment that everybody feels that belongs to Aberdeen Football Club, players, fans, management team, whatever. Everybody feels it, but it's also important to look at the performance. And overall, it was a really good performance, one of our best performance so far this season. If you think about all the things connected with the game, attacking, defending, transitions. And then sometimes in the football, movements can happen, and and St Mirren used that today 100% and was also did good when they get the chance. And so that's football sometimes. And but I also need to think about the game on Saturday. It's a third game in 6 days, and if you see now the last period had that got good results, and also now the performance was good today. So we have to focus on that and take the energy and go attack the next game.
So that's the thoughts of the manager. Don't forget, Ali Beggy BTV is brought to you and supported by Saltire Energy, the global market leader in specialist drilling equipment rental. Not just that, here are some other services that they offer: torquing, testing, refurbishment and welding. So if any of those services suit your needs in the oil and gas industry, feel free to get in touch with Saltire or come to me and I will put you in direct touch with them. So overall, before I bring Andrew on and we have our discussion, I actually thought we did okay last night. I thought we looked much better going forward. The fact that we scored more than one goal for the first time in 9 games says it all. But then typically, just when we've been solid for the past few weeks, at the back, we just looked very, very shaky. I have to say, and I mean this with the greatest respect, I thought Dimitar Mitov had his worst game in an Aberdeen shirt. I thought he was absolutely dreadful last night. The penalty, So I've seen it from a different angle today. And to be honest with you, I get why they've given the penalty, because it strikes his arm. But for me, it's a ridiculously bad decision because he's lost balance. He's already, Mats Knuster is already on his way down. What are you supposed to do in that situation? And this is where I get really frustrated with the VAR officials. All they see is that they're completely, it's tunnel vision for them. If the ball hits the arm, it's a penalty. That's it. It's a penalty. Doesn't matter how it hits the arm. Doesn't matter how the player is. Doesn't matter the angle. It hits his arm. It's a penalty. They give it all the time. You look at did you see the Dundee United one last night? Oh my God. It hits the boy, clearly the Rangers defender, on the arm. Yeah, it's not given. So the inconsistency is driving us all absolutely mad. I just wish they would take... I just sometimes wish... Again, I mean this with the greatest respect, and it's not a pile-on. I just sometimes wish we could get ex-professional football players into these positions, because they understand the game better than anybody. And I think we need somebody who has played the game to the very highest level to potentially be a VAR assistant, to assist the person who's actually making the call to the referee. Because what is Mats supposed to do when he loses his balance in that challenge and goes down? Is he supposed to go like this on his way down? It's an absolute nonsense. Nobody, whether you play football or not, when you lose your balance, puts their arms down by their side. Honestly, it drives me absolutely nuts. Dante Polvara. In 4 weeks, he's free to speak to other clubs. It should not get to that. Lance Pfaffenstiel should not let that happen. I think, it's just a personal opinion, you may agree or disagree, we have to get him tied down on a new deal, because I think going forward, Dante could be pivotal to us. I'm going to give you some stats on how he played last night. 87% accurate passes. Shots on target, 3 out of 3, 100%. He made 13 passes into the final third, which for me is a huge difference to where we have been recently. He was always looking to make a forward pass. Ground duels, 75% won. Aerial duels, 75% won. And I also found it quite interesting where St Mirren, almost at times, and for the tacticians out there, you'll know this better than me, it looked like they were almost doubling up on him at times, because they saw that he was the one that was always creating. So I think we have to get him tied down, and tied down quickly. Right, before I get Andrew on, just let me get you guys on first, just to see how you're all doing and how you're feeling tonight. And then we'll get Andrew on. So, the Galaglass said, I commented a few weeks ago that we had a goalkeeper problem. Mitov is not good with cross balls and tends to parry shots. He is putting pressure on the defence. It's a difficult one. I could not agree more. He flapped last night. The Music Cat says, last time a similar result happened was at Easter Road against Hibs, and we all know how that affected our form. Yeah, you're right, but for me, it's... You're absolutely right. I take your point, but for me, it's different times now. It's different players. It's different mentality. And because I thought the lads did well last night, looked more assured. Marco was great when he came on. Liked the fact that him and Kevin were on the field of play at the same time. It gave us a different dynamic, which Andrew and I discuss in just a moment. So overall, it was better. It really was. And I just hope they take all those positives into the game at the weekend. Ryan Ellington is wishing you all a good evening. What a shocking game last night. What's everyone's opinion about the ref and the extra minutes when it was 3-2? To be honest with you, look, I've got no issues with that. What I have an issue with was the amount of time it took for VAR to sort themselves out, particularly with Marco's goal. Like, how long does it take? Seriously, come on. There were injuries as well. So when Gavin went down, which for me was an appalling tackle, by the way. Really? Right under the assistant referee's nose as well. Seriously, that was a shocking tackle. Am I the only one that thinks that? So with Gavin going down, that added minutes to the minutes. So unfortunately, personally, I don't have an issue with it. Gordon Keith Ritchie says, good evening all. We should have won yesterday. Got to start taking chances. And Mitov gave 2 goals away. Seems to flap at crosses, but we need to defend better. Alan Nicholl says, not Mitov's best game. St Mirren were unlucky to get their first goal checked off, but the poor penalty decision made up for it, I suppose. MSP Aberdeen says, a great game for the neutral. I'm not very neutral though. It was a shocking game for Mitov. That appears to be the general consensus this evening. Paul Hannon is on, wishing you a good evening, as is Cameron Young. Decent game last night. Absolutely gutted to have ended the game with a draw, but we've got a point and we move into Saturday's game. John Grant said, felt totally deflated at the end of the match as we really should have wrapped it up. Milne and Devlin poor for the second goal and looking for Mitov to be more commanding. The second goal was appalling. My God. John came back to say that he thought Kevin and Marco also played well together last night. Paul Hannon came back to say last night was bad in the second half. Penalty was never a penalty. Was knocked off his... so Mats was knocked off his jump, and this natural and unnatural position is seriously needing looked at. Couldn't agree more, Paul. I disagree with you about the second goal. Paul says Milne was fouled leading up to the second goal. I don't think he was, mate. I don't think he was. I think he got himself tied in knots. He had an opportunity to clear it. He didn't. He was then on his way down because he's getting challenged. He should have cleared it first time. Sorry, Paul. It's not often I disagree with you, but I do disagree with you there. Paul Donaldson said, still angry after last night. Why are we incapable of seeing a game out when we've taken the lead not once, but twice? All the hard work getting back into the lead, completely wasted. He came back to say we need to put VAR in the bin. VAR got both big decisions wrong last night. St Mirren's goal in the first half should have stood, but the penalty should never have been given. Paul came back to say the length of the VAR chart in the penalty is far too long. It's taking too long to do it. Right, okay. Right, let's get Andrew on. So, Andrew and I just have a straightforward discussion about last night's game and everything that happened. Welcome back to the show, Andrew Budge. Hi fella, how you doing? You okay?
Yes, just about recovered from that ordeal.
Unbelievable, eh? Right, we'll get into that in just a moment. So just to put this into context, there's no graphics tonight. Andrew and I are just going to have a straightforward chat. So first of all, just give us your general thoughts on the result.
Yeah, man, it's so disappointing. Overall, I thought it was actually a good performance. I agreed with Yumi. I thought was probably the best I've seen us play in a while. Just we looked a lot more fluid, but going forward, but we've just let ourselves down with mix of individual errors and just not seeing the game out. It's definitely 2 points dropped. We've had a lot of kind of favourable results from other teams recently.
Yeah.
Like no one's really getting ahead of us in the league right now. So I feel like that was a really good opportunity with how the results panned out that we could have really got ourselves up towards top six and really made some ground on sort of top three, to be honest. So yeah, I just feel like some of these moments are slipping out of our hands at the moment. But yeah, some positives, but yeah, a lot of a lot of negatives as well.
Yeah, I just thought it was a missed opportunity. That was the feel that I got, particularly at
Yeah,
full time. Let's talk about some of our
yeah.
defending. The second goal for me, all I hope for now is that Jack, who I think has been magnificent recently, all I hope now is that he just learns from that. I must admit, I was slightly surprised at Nicky's positioning. I just didn't think he did enough to stop a younger get sort of getting by him. I thought he went by him far too easily. But Dimitar in goal, with the greatest respect, I thought that was his worst performance in an Aberdeen shirt last night. He was making me anxious, and I'm wondering if he was making his defenders anxious.
Very possible, to be honest. Yeah, he did look really shaky. Not even just on like one or two occasions, a lot of different occasions throughout the night, whether it was the sort of disallowed goal that was pretty soft
Mm,
for coming from corners, it was a little bit ropey. Um, he's usually such a great shot stopper, but I just feel
yeah.
like maybe it's high expectations, but just one or two of the goals, you got kind of gets the hand to them or goes between his feet. So maybe you could have done a bit better there. But yeah, there was just a general nervousness about him yesterday, which I wouldn't say it's uncommon, to be honest. He can have these performances now and then, but I think it was one of his worst ones. And yeah, I completely agree about our sort of individual defending, sort of 1v1. I think Devlin doesn't do enough there.
Mm,
Um, which again is uncommon because I think he's had a good sort of uptick in form recently.
yeah.
Just coinciding with like the shift to the back three, I think we've just looked really solid. And even for like quite a lot of the game yesterday, I thought we looked quite untroubled. I thought we kind of controlled a lot of the game. We've just had a couple of just shocking individual errors, to be honest. The second goal is a sort of, I don't know, collection of errors with like Jack Milne on the halfway line and then Devlin. Yeah, I'm not going to be too critical because both of them have been really good.
Mm,
But yeah, we just didn't see the game out and we've shot ourselves in the foot. I thought we could have definitely controlled the last sort of 5-10 minutes a bit better. I think there was quite late in the game. There were moments when we were still throwing balls in the box and just not picking the right pass. And I think we could have just been a lot smarter, maybe taking it down towards the corner or just try and keep possession. And instead we kind of turned it over to them. But yeah, unfortunate that we've had these individual errors and just hope they're just that's them kind of out of our system for a while because these things can happen and you just try to not get too disappointed about it.
yeah, I thought Matt's canister again last night was absolutely magnificent. I
Yeah.
cannot understand for the life of me how that is given as a penalty. I just sometimes think that VAR officials, they just don't understand the emotions of the game. And I sometimes, if you've not played the game to that sort of level, I sometimes wonder if these people should be in this position. Because what's he supposed to do? This whole rule, well, it just hit his arm, so it's a penalty. It's like, well, hang on a second. Can we understand why it hit his arm and why his arm was in that position? I thought it was so soft. Anyway, we can talk all night about that. Dante Polvara, I'd like to ask you about Dante Polvara. I thought he was fantastic last night. And honestly, I think we've got to do everything that we can to keep him.
Yeah, completely agree. It was a real all-round performance from him. He was sort of really attacking going forward, lots of shots in the box. He had 3 shots in total.
Mm,
He was winning his duels, whether like on the ground or in the air. I thought he was completely dominant in midfield. And what I really liked is he's sort of got a bit of a understanding with Keskinen now. I think he's playing some really good balls over the top for Keskinen in behind.
yeah.
He's had a few recently in other games. I think it was against I can't remember which game it was that Keskinen robbed the defender. It might have been the Hearts game or the Livingston game, but it was a ball over the top from that. And he had a couple of really good balls in behind for Keskinen yesterday. And I think they're really just working in tandem quite well right now. And yeah, even his finish from the set piece We finally scored from a set piece. That's great. It's only taken us
Hooray.
to December. Some teams have got like 10 goals. Yeah, really good to see us score from a set piece, and actually not an easy finish because he's kind of losing his balance.
Yeah.
He's looked great. I just really hope we kind of tie him down. It's a bit of a concern that I guess in about 4 weeks he can start speaking to other clubs. So yeah, it's a tough one. We might have left it a little bit late, but he's had his injury concerns and he's maybe been in and out of the team. But yeah, I mean, I think the new director of football's maybe got that high in his priority list, to be honest.
Yeah, I really hope he does. Just to finish off, let's have a little chat about Kevin Nisbet and Marko Lazetic. I thought Kevin played well. Baffled by some of his misses last night. The volley that he had from the corner, fantastic set piece. I thought it was brilliantly worked. I thought he was really unlucky there. But his diving header, oh my God. And then he had another opportunity in the second half where I thought, I get what he's doing. He's trying to put the ball back into the danger area. I get that. But a striker's instinct should always be to go for goal. But with him and Marko playing on the field at the same time, I thought it gave us a different dynamic.
Yeah, it was good to see that. A lot of people kind of called for us to see both of them on the pitch at the same time. How often have we seen for substitution, especially when we're either drawing or losing a game and you're desperate just to see more bodies up top. But yeah, I really liked the way we saw both of them. I thought we just had a lot more fluency to our game, and I thought Nisbet did quite well in some of the passing combinations, some like good link up play, laying it off to sort of midfielders to run onto and playing balls in behind. And he actually had, I was looking at his stats, he had 6 shots yesterday and 10 touches in the box, which was double anyone else. So he was clearly busy, which is at least encouraging. I think we've had certain games where you feel like you've just not seen much of Nisbet at all. So the fact that he's getting those opportunities, I agree, some of the finishes were unconventional to say the least, but it's good to at least see he's busy and getting shots. So I think the goals will come if he keeps playing like that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've got any worry about that. And then it was kind of like contrasting fortunes between him and Lazetic with coming on having such a big impact. He had 2 touches in the box and both of them were goals. So I mean that's all you really need, isn't it? But yeah, it was good to see him playing together. I loved Lazetic's movement as well.
Yeah.
For the second goal, he just anticipates the rebound so well. You can see he knows that it could happen and that he makes that natural movement and just instinctively can kind of sniffs it out and makes a really good movement ahead of the defender. And I thought it was pretty clear he was onside, to be honest. I don't know how that took so long, but yeah, that was great. And then his movement for what should have been the winner was great. He makes a little dart to the front post and then peels off the back and behind. Yeah, just really encouraging. You forget he's still very young. So I think we've got a lot of promise and he could be a really good asset for us. It'll just be interesting to see if we see more of them up top together or whether we'll go back to playing a single striker. But I'd certainly like to see more of them together.
Yeah, he's definitely growing in stature. All right, fella. Well, listen, thank you so much as always for coming on. Thank you for taking the time because I know it's late in Australia at the moment. So enjoy the next couple of days and hopefully I'll see you after the Dundee game.
Yep. See you then.
Brilliant. All right, mate. Cheerio.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much, Andrew. We will see you on Sunday evening. Just before I get back to your comments, a gentle reminder that Alibeg ABTV is also brought to you and sponsored by Craig International, who are a global procurement leader. They have offices based all over the world to help you with your procurement needs. They are in America. They're also in Calgary, in Canada, as well as on the European continent here in Germany. Up in Hamburg, their home office is based in Aberdeen. They also serve the Middle East in Qatar, in Dubai and Oman, as well as down in Singapore and in the Southern Hemisphere in Australia. So, if procurement is just your thing, get in touch with me. I'll put you in touch with them. Nobody does it better than Craig International. Quipco International also sponsor us here on the channel. They service the oil gas industry based in Abu Dhabi. They have a purpose-built warehouse where they do a number of services and they manufacture a number of products there. What I've listed is just the tip of the iceberg. To find out more about their services and more about the products that they can manufacture for the oil and gas industry in that region and beyond, check them out at quipco.com. Don't forget, if you're enjoying the show tonight, Please like it. Thanks for your comments. Got plenty more to get through before we finish off tonight. And don't forget to subscribe. So we're getting closer to 4,800. I'm about 20 away from 4,800. If you like the show, please subscribe. It's not going to cost you a penny. Nothing. Nilch. Nout. Zero. It's the click of a button. Go on. I dare you. Right, back to your comments. Graham Gibbs says, I sit in the south stand. Thought there had to something other than an offside for the second goal. Took time for the VAR check. Gregor Reid said, Nisbet gave the ball away that led to their third. He was also marking King for their equaliser. And in his square header, he had a poor game. Michael Taylor says that he agrees with Graham, who said, why do we have to wait until December to see Lazetic and Nisbet? It's an obvious solution to not scoring. How do one, Govern 99 says, Yimmy has got to start both strikers against Dundee. Do you know what? I would also argue the toss with that you're absolutely right. Bob Duff is here. How are we doing, Bob? He said, I said 7 points was a minimum from this week's trio of matches. Therefore, 3 points on Saturday is a must. Mad Mark says, Kevin Nisbet is a good player, but he's fairly inaccurate striker for an international class player. Oh, that header last night, in the first half. Oh my God. It's actually more difficult to do what he did, surely. Graham Gibbs says, St Mirren's two strikers are energetic but limited. Both Milne and Knuster try and keep the ball when punting it out is the safer option. It just takes one slip and you undo everything. Michael Taylor says, let's go to Dens on Saturday. Let's be positive. We're in a good league form. Pick up 3 points and all will be forgotten about from last night's game. We have to move on. Paul Heard, he thought last night that Nicky Devlin was dithery. Fantastic on Sunday, not so great last night. I have to say, I take your point. For the second goal, I was very surprised how easily you let the boy go past him. That's not usually Nicky's game. I actually thought he did okay last night, I've got to be honest. Alexander Drummond is wishing you all a good evening. How do 1% govern 99% is suggesting that we should drop Mitov for the game on Saturday. Michael Taylor says, really disappointed with last night's result, especially with the teams directly above us dropping points. It was an opportunity to make ground on them. You're absolutely right, Michael. I'm just grateful that the teams above us didn't really make any tracks to get away from us. Barry's here. He says, do you think clubs should take teams off the pitch if the standard of refereeing continues? Pointless turning up when it's not fair and equal. It's never going to happen, Bob. I don't think so, mate. John Robertson said, feels like a defeat. We should be seeing that game out, especially after getting our noses in front. Bob came back to say that Lyle Cameron is a target for January. Possible Leighton Clarkson replacement if Leighton decides to call it a day, which I have to be honest, I think he will. George Rutherford said, VAR, what are fans in the ground meant to do while they're looking? Twiddle their thumbs? What do we have to do to wait for a decision? Did Red TV let you see replays while we at Pittodrie were left in the dark? Yes, they did. I think that on the screen, they should be showing the fans what is on the VAR screen when the referee is looking at it. So I think the fans should be also allowed to have a wee look. I don't know how that would go down with the referees and the head of refereeing, but I think we should all be given an opportunity to see what the decision is going to be made while the referee is watching the replays. That's what I think. James Jappy says, Ali, when did the rule ball playing man, meaning a ball hitting player and player propelling the ball with hand, changes made? There's a big difference. Yeah. I don't know, it was changed a couple of seasons ago, wasn't it? Bob Duff disagrees with me about the tackle. He said the Gavin Malloy tackle, I thought it was a genuine 50-50. 2 committed players, not even a foul, he says. Scott Bowie also agrees with Bob. He says was very close to the tackle, thought it was a 50-50, an injury could have gone either way. But Mad Mark says Malloy wasn't tackled, he was assaulted. Ian Barron said, yes, a disappointment last night, but it's mad that we're only 5 points off third. Lots to play for the rest of the season, European places as well, and a good cup run. Let's get the heads up and let's keep the faith. Bob Duff makes a good point. He says, there were 8 players not stripped last night. Granted, Tobers is injured, but Gyamfi, Dorrington, Palaversa, Milanovic, Yengi, nor Ambrose are injured. Yeah, it was interesting that Milanovic wasn't even in the squad last night. But as the manager keeps telling us recently, with the games coming thick and fast, it's all about rotating, resting players at the right time, making sure they're ready for the next game, etc., etc. Dave B says, what I liked about Paul Vara was how he commanded the middle of the park, allowing Armstrong and Ashish to roam around. Bob Duff says, not convinced by Dante Ali. We can do better. Bruce Strother says, he agrees on Paul Vara. Aggressive, quick, good on the ball, always passes forward. Right. Gregor Reed asks a very simple question. Why on earth does Jimmy play Nielsen? David Goldralli Vid says referees should have to explain their decisions. You know this thing in the English Premier League now where the referees put the mic on and they tell you why they've made the decision. We should introduce that in Scotland. 100% we should introduce that to the Scottish game. David McLennan says, we didn't get going until we went behind and then we started moving forward with a bit of pace. Graham Gibbs says, guys, the result was poor last night, agreed. Defending farcical, but be fair. We played some good stuff last night after the penalty. People's opinion is too swayed by the result. I'm not so sure, Graham. I think, look, people are disappointed with the result. Absolutely they are. Because to lose 2 points in the 99th minute of the game is gut-wrenching. It's really disappointing. But I think the general consensus is that we played much better, that there were many positives to take from the game. And the general consensus on here, I would say tonight, is yes, we're all hugely disappointed by dropping 2 points, but there are many positives to take. Mad Mark says, I think Ashish is now playing too deep to give his best. I think, I'm not sure what I make of him. I just think he's busy doing nothing. Sorry. Bob Duff is asking a very simple question. Is it going to be 3-4-2-1 until the January window and then reinforcements arrive? Bob, I think it will be. Right, guys, I'm going to call it a night because I need to get home to my kids. So, where are we? It's Thursday night, Dundee next, which means there's a preview tomorrow night. I'm going to do a preview tomorrow night. So come and join us. Usual time, 19:03. We'll look ahead to the Dundee game at the weekend. Big opportunity to keep climbing. Honestly, if teams drop points around us, we can keep climbing. As you've just said, only 5 points off third. Only 5. It's mad, isn't it? Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Don't forget, press the old like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Keep subscribing. Costs nothing. I will see you tomorrow night. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Stand free.